Good morning, dear students. Welcome back. And today, again, we are going to continue with the same chapter, chapter 5, Indigo of your Flamingo book. And in this chapter, we have covered a lot of the portion and little is left, which we'll complete by tomorrow. In today's video, let's move on to the part which I have kept for today. But before that, let us have a quick recall of what we have studied in the previous videos of this chapter. As I have told you that indigo is related to indigo sharecropping, and I have told you people very clearly what is sharecropping. And indigo, what indigo is. Indigo is a blue colored flower from which the dye is prepared. And in Bihar, in Champaran especially, the sharecropping was an ancient contract between the Indian peasants and the British landlords. Under this, they were suffering a lot of injustice under the hands of the British landlords. Because of that reason, when Gandhiji visited Lucknow in 1916 to attend one of the meetings, one peasant named Rajkumar Shukla went to meet him all the way from Champaran. He begged Gandhiji to come along with him to solve this matter of injustice. After a long wait, Gandhiji boarded the train to Patna with Shukla and reached there and went to Rajendra Prasad's house. About Rajendra Prasad, I have already said in the previous videos. And then there we have seen how Gandhiji and Shukla were treated. They were considered untouchables, and the servants in Shukla's house, thinking Gandhiji to be one such peasant like Shukla, treated him also accordingly. And then Gandhiji, he found that he was not able to gather that much of information from Rajkumar Shukla, so decided to go to Muzaffarpur before going to Champaran to collect the details. And then he telegrammed to J.P. Kriplani, 15th April 1917, midnight he reached there, stayed for 2 days in another professor's house named Professor Malkani, and he had very clearly used words of appreciation for the act of bravery shown by Professor Malkani, although he was a government officer, a government employee. And then we people have seen the briefing of a lawyer and Gandhiji, then the scolding of Gandhiji, then his thinking that there is no use of taking the matter to the court, but instead first the fear has to be taken out from the hearts of these peasants. Then we people have seen what actually the indigo sharecropping was all about. It was about taking the land on rent by the Indian peasants from the English men to for tilling purpose, for agriculture purpose, and with a contract that compulsorily they have to grow in 15% of the rented land indigo and hand over the entire harvest as rent to the British people, the British owners. And this was going on at that time. Germany, they have developed the synthetic indigo. They manufactured the synthetic indigo, and obviously the other indigo, the natural indigo's rate went down and the market went down, and so because of that reason they wanted to stop this indigo harvesting. So they said to the peasants that if you want to come out of this contract, you give us the compensation, which was totally wrong on their side. And the peasants, they were very much troubled with all these things, so they decided, okay, we will do. Some of them agreed with it and some didn't, and they hired lawyers, the landlords hired thugs. Meanwhile, the peasants who have given them money, they came to know about the synthetic indigo, and they decided that they want their money back. This was the time when Gandhiji reached over there, and then Gandhiji, instead of just believing on the words which were roaming from here to there, from one ear to another, he decided to collect the facts. First, he went to the British Landlord Association, where he was not welcomed at all. Then he went to Tirhut Division, British Official Commissioner, where actually the Champaran district lies. And there also he was bullied badly, and he was asked to leave Tirhut. But he didn't listen. Instead, he went to Motihari the capital at that time. And then there, along with other lawyers, he took one house on rent and turned it into a headquarter and started his investigation. While this was going on, one day he received a news that one poor peasant was maltreated in a nearby village, and he mounted on an elephant, and then he moved towards that village. He just moved a little distance when he was stopped by a messenger from the police superintendent. He stopped. Gandhiji obliged, and he was asked to go back to the same place from where he had started his journey. He went back to that house. There he was handed another notice in which he was asked, the government has asked, it was an official notice, to quit Champaran. He took the notice, he signed it with a note that he is going to disobey the order. As a result, he was charged, a case was put upon him, and he was supposed to appear in the court the next day. That night, Gandhiji stayed awake for a long time. He telegrammed to Rajendra Prasad and asked him to bring the influential people. I have already explained what you mean by the influential people over here. He had already contacted his ashram and also wrote the entire report for the viceroy. The next day, Motihari, it has turned black with peasants. Means it is showing the number of people that collected front of the courthouse. This was the first time. And they were not knowing about Gandhiji anything, about the incidents that you might be knowing very well when you have studied about the freedom struggle and Gandhi's involvement, especially his South Africa stay and all. And then this demonstration was sudden. Nobody expected it. I think even Gandhiji and the lawyers also never expected this. So leave the British government. They were totally shocked. And it is very well been said over here that Gandhiji was called to control the crowd, and he very politely he did it, but he had also given a very strong proof to the British government that British government till now, your strength, which was never questioned, which was never being challenged, is now going to be challenged by the Indians. The authorities were so shocked. They were shocked beyond words, and then they wanted to postpone the trial. Gandhiji protested. He read the statement in which it was said that he is guilty, and he said that, see, I am torn between two duties. The first duty is that I'm a barrister, I'm an advocate, I don't want to put up a bad example in front of people. But I'm a human being. And this thing which has raised up, this case which has been raised up, the Champaran issue, needs a humanitarian ground. It needs, my conscience tells me that I must help them if it is in my hand. So you please tell me what penalty is due. The magistrate said that I will give the statement after 2 hours of recess. So if you want to be free, take bail. Gandhiji said that I'm not going to take any bail. Then magistrate, without taking any bail, he just relieved Gandhiji. You just see the, you can see that the effect, the impact, the influence, not necessary every time we have to raise a weapon. And then when the court resumed its work, magistrate said that I will deliver the judgment after 7 days, and he relieved Gandhiji. Means he asked Gandhiji to stay in liberation till that time. Meanwhile, numerous lawyers came to meet Gandhiji, and then Gandhiji put up 2 questions in front of them. Do you remember what 2 questions I said yesterday? Okay, no problem. First one, he asked, if I go to jail, if I am sentenced to prison, what you people are going to do? And you know what answer came up from there? One senior lawyer, he said, what we are going to do? If you go to jail, we came here for you. And if you are not there, we will go back home. Then Gandhiji, he shot the second question. He said, what about the sharecroppers? What about that injustice? Now the lawyers were shocked. Mr. Rajendra Prasad, he says that when Gandhiji asked this second question, all the lawyers went to one corner for meeting. And in the meeting, they spoke in this manner that, oh, this man is not even from this district, and we people belong to this district and to the nearby districts, and if we people go back home, what a big shame it will be on our part. This is what was the meeting all about. And then after this meeting, they went to Gandhiji and they said, if you go to jail, we will follow you. Very peacefully, without any violence. And you know what Gandhiji said? He said the battle of Champaran is won. My dear students, this is what the thing is. Stand together, united, and see the challenges that you can beat down. Then he took a piece of paper, he divided the entire group into pairs and decided how they have to go for the court arrest the next day. And then few days passed. He got one message from the magistrate that the lieutenant governor of that area had asked to drop the case, and now nothing is there on Gandhiji regarding disobey of the order. This was the first time civil disobedience had a victory in modern India. After this, Gandhiji and the lawyers didn't stop there. They continued their work. And now even much more, you can say that far-flung the work was. Full-fledged work was going on, collecting all the documents, evidences, statements, and around some 10,000 peasants they gave in writing what was happening. And while the entire village was throbbing with activity, means in Hindi we people say na bahut chehal pehal thi, and with this investigations and all, meanwhile it was protested vehemently, means angrily it was protested with lot of anger. It was protested by the landlords. This is what we people have done in the previous all classes. Now let's continue. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant governor. Before he went, he met leading associates and again laid detailed plans for civil disobedience if he should not return. Gandhi had 4 protracted interviews with the lieutenant governor, who, as a result, appointed an official commission of inquiry into the indigo sharecropper situation. The commission consisted of landlords, government officials, and Gandhi as the sole representative of the peasants. Okay, so what we have seen now. The case on Gandhiji was dropped, but Gandhiji didn't drop the sharecropping issue. Investigation was going on. Somewhere in the month of June, Gandhiji was again called by Sir Edward Gate. He was the lieutenant governor of that area. And Gandhiji, he was smart enough. Before he left for the meeting, what he did, he called all his associates, the co-worker people, those who were working with him, and again he planned out the civil disobedience. In case, you can say, backup plan. In case if he don't return and then suddenly something happens to him, who all will be giving from which part court arrest very peacefully with non-violence. That was all planned out. Then Gandhiji went and met Lieutenant Governor. 4 protracted interviews, means 4 long meetings took place with Lieutenant Governor regarding this sharecropper situation. And then a commission was set up. Like how it happens, no? All these kind of issues are generally being solved by the committees, the commissions. And in this commission, 3 people were there, 3 groups were there. One was the landlords. The second one was obviously the government officials. And the third one, you can't say it as a group, but a sole person was there who was representing the sharecroppers or the peasants. And he was no other than Gandhiji. Now, when the meeting had been going on, what was the result of that meeting and what the commission found? Let's see. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months, and then again for several shorter visits. The visit undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant, in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. Okay, let's see. Gandhiji, when he came to Champaran, somewhere in 1917. Okay, and then in 1917, when he came, initially for 7 months he stayed over there and he used to come and go. Now you just think in 1916, when Rajkumar Shukla met Gandhi with a petition, with a request that please come to Champaran, my place, and solve the injustice done towards the sharecropper, what Gandhiji thought, he will just go. In a few days, he will finish off the work and he'll come back. But as it has been said over here, it never happened according to the expectation. Instead of a few days, it took months, and which prolonged to almost a year. Now, the inquiry which was being put up on this sharecropping situation, what came out of it? Let's see that. The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed in principle to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. Okay, inquiry was placed, and Gandhiji availed crushing mountain of evidence. Crushing mountain doesn't mean mountain picked up and put down over the landlords. It means that huge evidences, big solid proof he gave against the big planters. Here planters are the landlords. And when they also saw all those things, they could not deny. They agreed that they have done a lot of things against and a lot of injustice. So they said that okay, we will refund the peasants. We'll give back the money. And they asked Gandhi, how much must we pay? Hum kitna de? Now, to that, what was Gandhiji's answer? Let's see. They thought he would demand repayment in full of the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed adamant, writes Reverend J. Z. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode at close range. Thinking probably that he would not give way, the representative of the planters offered to refund to the extent of 25%. And to his amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, thus breaking the deadlock. Okay. When the landlords, they agreed that they are ready to pay the money, and they asked how much must they pay, they thought that Gandhiji will ask the full payment, what they have taken away, extorted, what they have snatched away from the sharecroppers in a very illegal and deceitful, means by ditching them. They have taken the money from them, but Gandhiji said 50%, half of it. And one man is there, he's Reverend he's a Reverend Father, he is J.Z. Hodge, has been mentioned over here. He was from the British missionary and he was working at that time in Champaran, and it has been said that he had seen the entire episode at a close range. If in Hindi I want to say, I'll be saying that उन्होंने हर चीज़ को बड़े नज़दीकी से देखा, बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझा. So he said that at this particular point, when 50% was demanded, Gandhiji seemed to be very adamant, stubborn, like as if though he don't want to change his words. And then the representatives of the landlords, they wanted to make one try, means just one attempt they want to make, though where they were not very sure whether Gandhiji will agree or not. They said they will be able to give only 25%. And suddenly, don't know what happened, it was sudden thing, Gandhiji, he agreed. He broke this deadlock, means the situation, by agreeing for the 25%. Now this might be going on in your head that from first he was adamant for 50, then he agreed for 25%. Why so? Reason is there for the students. Just see in this coming paragraph. This settlement was adopted unanimously by the commission. Gandhi explained that the amount of the refund was less important than the fact that the landlords had been obliged to surrender part of the money and with it part of their prestige. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters had behaved as lords above the law. Now the peasant saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. Now did you get it? What is the reason why? What was the reason why Gandhiji agreed for the 25%? When he said 25%, this settlement was unanimously, means in one voice. The commission agreed. Means the commission consisted of whom? The landlords, the government officials, and Gandhiji. Gandhiji gave the word that okay, 25%, and to that the landlords and the government officials agreed in one voice. When Gandhiji was asked that first you said 50%, then you agreed for 25%, what is the reason? See what he said. He said, amount of refund was less important, but the fact that the landlords obliged to surrender part of the money and along with it part of their prestige. Yes, my dear students. Money was not the matter. The most important thing was to teach the landlords a lesson and to teach the peasants a bigger lesson of relying on themselves, to accumulate their strength to fight against the wrong. And here the same thing happened. When the landlords agreed for 25%, that means they were bowing their head down, they were parting with their prestige, and that was more important than the money. And the planters, the landlords who thought themselves to be lords above the law, now they got a lesson. And the peasants, they also learned. They understood their rights. They understood that they have got people to stand with them. They have learned courage. Events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estates, which reverted to the peasants. Indigo sharecropping disappeared. Gandhi proved he found a solution, and his work were justified. After a few years, the British landlords, they totally left the ownership of those estates. They abandoned their estates. They left it. And the ownership was moved on, was reverted, was given to the peasants. And in this way, from Champaran, indigo sharecropping totally disappeared. It vanished. So, my dear students, I'll give a halt to the chapter for now, and the rest of the portion we will complete tomorrow, and in this way this chapter will come to an end. Again, the humble request, please go through the portions, because after the school reopens we will be discussing the questions so that you can get the answers for it. But before that, you need to go through the lessons carefully, the videos which have been uploaded for your benefit, for your welfare. Till then, goodbye, take care, stay home, stay safe.